Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, back for more Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress, and this is X101 Imperial Servitor. I'm going to start with Golden Highlight at 09093. So, servitors are more or less lobotomized cyborg slaves used by the Imperium in mass, either created from clones or, more commonly, criminals, some of which may be hit with trumped up charges when the Imperium happens to need more servitors. Again, the Imperium is the most brutal totalitarian dictatorship to have ever existed. And X101 was built for salvage and cargo lifting, and was at one point equipped with a grav gun, which I have to wonder who owned him, because that's Space Marine tech right there. But he was found on the Blackstone Fortress by the explorers, who, well, they're not afraid to use any asset they can find, and quite frankly, they wouldn't, definitely would not discard an usable asset, period. So, he is a retinue character. Okay, so now I'm going to do the cloth. That's all the flesh. I'm going to start with Lemon Yellow 09009 because I'm going for an annoying looking road crew green. But, so you can take one retinue character, but they all have to be recruited first in side quests or special missions that can be done between other quests like the Hunt for the Hidden Vault or whatever else comes up. But in terms of X101, you just find him in the course of the Escalation expansion. Again, I've not played through it yet, I've just kind of skimmed it. I'm still working on the quest for the Hidden Vault and getting my teeth kicked in, and I'm at a point after multiple savage beatings I may actually fail the quest and have to start over. That happens, it happens, but it's also been about 2 weeks that I've been able to get out the board and play because of one thing after another, keeping me busy and keeping that one table I can play it on very full. The other retinue characters, most of which are, if not all of which, are described now in the Blackstone Fortress Annual, but originated in White Dwarf magazine, can be made from other models in the range. And I've got some of those coming up. There's a Flash Git, an Arco-Flagellant, all of which made from other kits, and there's even rules to do a solo quest with just one explorer, being able to use a Harlequin's Solitaire or an Imperial Evisor Assassin. And I think I'm going to need to do a second coat of this. So I'll go ahead and do that off camera, because I want this very bright, very loud, which will help make it look very obnoxious when I'm done. So let's stop here, do that second coat off camera, and have some more base coating when I get back. Alright. Now, Fire Orange 09006. We'll do this on the armor. So servitors are near mindless. But I figure a bright color scheme as a warning to others around it to stay out of its way, because it probably would not be capable of reacting to an unexpected situation not very well. Retinue characters outside of being hired muscle. They do not use action dice or activation dice, cannot gain inspiration points or use destiny dice. Instead, they have a list of actions they can take and how many of those actions they are able to take. They do have an inspired side of their card and can only go over by hidden agenda, and X101's inspiration condition is simply having Daedalosus in your party. That's it. Daedalosus is around, X101 gets his inspired benefits. And they are controlled by whatever explorer happens to be the current leader, as described in the rules. So I'm definitely going to need to do a second coat on the armor. I'll do that off camera. Typically, servitors are used for menial labor or as disposable assets in situations where it would be wasteful to use a normal human, but those are, I mean, this is the Imperium of Man we're talking about. They generally aren't going to care any more about a free-willed human than they would a servitor, but some situations are just that dangerous that not even an Imperial Guardsman would be suicidal enough to attempt it. I know in the video game Mechanicus, I'm thinking of the right one, you can get servitors, which can give you information on your enemies and their attacks as they take damage. And there's some other ones in the main game. Space Marines can take servitors, which get bonuses when they're around Tech Marines. So, X101 though is a very specific servitor. I believe in terms of 40k he can be taken in Mechanicus armies. I'm starting to butcher pronunciations here, so maybe I need to even getting a little dehydrated. So that's a decent start on the orange, but I am going to take a break here, let this dry a bit, add a second coat, and then move on. Okay, so I've done extra coats, did a little touch up over here. I thought this was armor, but it's just a cord going through the leg. So now I'm going to take Blackened Steel 09205 and start on some of the metal bits. Well, I guess I should say the integrated cybernetics. I'm going to do the plate bearing its identity on the neck, and then this. I think I'm just going to go a little excessive on this and then backpedal on some of it. We'll do the Mechanicus symbol and the same metal here. The bulk of the head. And who was X101 before he was turned into a servitor? We don't know, and quite frankly, no one in the Imperium would care. All he is to them is a tool. They would not care who he was. And there's a reason why the Imperium uses cyborgs instead of, say, robots as slave labor, and that would be the Men of Iron, of which UR025, one of the actual explorers from Blackstone Fortress, is assumably the last surviving member of, but essentially when humanity had robots, they went Terminator on them, lost. So all AI are either, there are no effective AIs, just various monotasked cyborgs, sometimes a little more than brains in jars, which may or may not be voluntarily donated. And any AIs that do exist are slaves to an organic intelligence of some type. So, pretty brutal. That's kind of how things go in the darkness of the 41st millennium. far as I can tell, servitors do not eat or even need to breathe. They just run on power. Now, their organics could definitely disintegrate. They can take a lot of abuse, i.e. enemy fire, before collapsing. Okay. And being turned into a servitor is often used as an alternative to execution. With the Empyrean believing it's a much more effective deterrent to crime to get stuck as a lobotomized cyborg. Let's see here. I'm going to do some of these connectors into the chest as the steel, but not anything else. With the big chunky toes, I'm to a certain extent following what's in the book as a guide. The book being the one that came with escalation, but Blackstone Fortress Annual has pretty much the same pictures and same gallery as well. Well, I think that's got about everything, so I'm going to let that dry, and once it does, I'll pick out some other details in different colors and get the cables, etc. So, come back in a bit. That did not focus well at all. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little Phoenix Red 09005 and do some cabling and wires. I did do a little more of the blackened steel around the ankles and on a few connection ports off camera. I just changed my mind about a couple of things. Looks like I need a little more on that emblem on the shoulder. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and get this cable here. And pretty much all the cables. So very bright color scheme, kind of a warning server working deal. Which again, depending on exactly what their one task is, they may or may not pay attention to other humans or entities around them. They may not even be capable of doing that. So this definitely looks like some kind of plug. I imagine that's how it would recharge, but don't know. And this just bluntly looks like a control box on the back. I nicked the pack back here, so I'm just going to dilute that with a little extra water and get that thinned out. Then, because I missed a couple cables on Datalosis that I had wanted to do initially and didn't realize till I was done, I'm just going to take it a little more slowly and make certain I get all the cabling I want right here now. Well, I'm gonna now take old bronze 09197 and just pick out selectively a few little knickknacks here and there. Make sure I'm having at least some luck on focusing, which is heavily debatable. I think I'm definitely making progress on this focus issue, but I still have work to do. So I'm going to get the buttons here. Whatever this doodad is, just because I feel like it. And I'll do the joint in the wrist here on the right hand. You know, I think that's all I want to do in this color. I think that's good, so we'll call that base coats. Let this dry completely. When I come back, I'll do some shading. And see if I can find a way to fix the focus issue while I'm at it. Okay. Got a little more light. We'll see if this works, but it's time to shade. Aged Pewter 09196. Great, I've lost track of, oh, there it is. Lost track of my blob paint for a minute. My palette's a little messy. Okay, more than a little messy. But thinning with 1 part water to 1 part paint and just going over the base coats. Which in this case is not a lot. Just a few buttons and one little ambiguous knickknack. Then Golden Skin 09092. I'm going to go ahead and shade that. I'm going to kind of go for an unnatural skin tone with the making it much lighter and adding. Well, you'll see how I highlight it, but we'll just see if it works out the way I hope it will. As seemingly being turned into a servitor can arrest the aging process. But does mean the recipient of the process is essentially a brain burned meat puppet. Fire Red 09004. And 1:1 on the water to paint ratio for your typical shade. Got a little sloppy there near the leg. I'll have to touch that up later. Being careful, especially not to nick any other wet areas right now. Don't want the paint to run. Let's go ahead and finish up the body before moving on to the backpack. And now a little bit more right there, but now that's got it. Alright, I need to let that dry completely before moving on, but that's a good strong start to the shading. So back a bit. Alright, things are dry enough I can move on, so Adamantium Black 09124, and the groundskeeping crew of my condominium is getting out the weed whacker, it sounds like. So nothing I can do about that. Now with particularly dark colors like this, we use 2 to 3 parts water to 1 part paint. But this is a metallic black. Should work nicely to shade the darker metal I've put on here. Being careful on the head because I don't want to get the flesh portion of it. What little there is anyway. Just the mechanic's cog. Start on the underarm of the left hand first. That big old grabbing claw. Again. X101 servitor chassis was designed for salvage and load bearing. So the grav gun was just an afterthought that its owners put on, likely after a lucky break of getting their mitts on Astartes technology. I don't know that any faction outside of Space Marines even has those weapons, so I suppose I can double check chapter approved 2019 edition check, but I imagine only a high-ranking Imperial Governor, Inquisitor, or possibly a rogue trader could have gotten their hands on one, and then it would have been with great difficulty. Which makes me question still, even further, why would they put a weapon that powerful on a servitor when there are more conventional and easily acquired weapons like heavy bolters and plasma guns, which the Imperial Guard have available to them. Okay, I am on the backpack now, so let's get all of this and let it flow. There's going to be quite a few lighting effects, mostly in the form of warning lights all over. Again, servitors are not subtle. Let's start with this half of it first. Okay, that's got that. I'm gonna let that dry completely before I move on to the next one. Oh, wait, I'm not quite done. I forgot about the ankles. Let's make sure to get that and the toes on the feet. There we go. Now that's everything I want in this color. So now I come back when it's dry and start continue shading the rest. Okay. Next, Phoenix Red 09005. which I previously used as a base coat, and now it's going to be the shade for the orange. There, that gets the cogs much more prominent than they were before. Alright, let that dry completely, and then onto the last shade, then I can do some lighting. Okay, the orange is dry enough, I can do the last shading on the cloth, so we're going to go with pale green 09012. And with any luck, the light yellow and the light green will sort of create this awkward rogue construction crew safety vest color. Or something close to it. Yeah, this will be pretty close to that awkward looking safety green. If I mix the green and the yellow a little bit with a touch of white, that should give me an appropriate highlight for it. Dab that on the back there and let it flow around. Maybe I diluted this a little too much, but I think it's going to do what I want it to do. Yeah, I think this will do what I want it to do, so let's cut things. Well, how did I get that? It'll be fine, it'll come out when I highlight. Don't know why I'm whispering. Now I actually think I need to take a little bit of that Adamantium black again and touch up the shading on the plate by the throat. Just a tiny dot. Just need to get it in that number. And matte light. I'll start the lighting effects and get his human eye. It's not okay. So little dots in the eyes. I Not quite a 1-to-1 ratio, though. And get the spotlight now. It extends over onto the crossbars, but that's fine. It'll help extend the, not extend, give the impression of glowing. Same thing on this light on the back here, which I view as a warning in operation type of light. Gauge here, here. Monitor the status, these vents. I'm going to do these vents on the back. On the grav gun, a light bulb on top. I think I'll leave a lot of it as is. I do want to get, let's see here. I want to get the sort of firing mechanism here as well as the barrel. Okay. Just gonna slowly look over it, make sure there's anything, see if there's anything else I'm gonna do. I think that's going to be it for lighting effects, so I'm going to let that all dry up completely and then move on. So back in a bit. And the focus problems are back. Alright, the light's dry enough I can do the lighting. So first I'm going to take a tiny dot of matte black. That will be enough. I'm using just enough water to moisten the brush. I'm going to carefully dot in the pupil. Now for the lighting, I'm going to start with Fire Red 09004. And the key with lighting is to use 2 to 3 parts water to 1 part paint. Make it very thin. And you want some of the light showing through. So there's that. And I'm going to take, I think, Pine Green 09010. I'm going to use that to light up the grav gun. Bad noise coming from my computer, but it seems to be working, so I'm just going to maybe a little too thin. Just going a little light. He takes some of that out of the center. That looks a little better. Then a little Fire Orange 09006. Same color I used to base coat the armor. It's going to go on this light bulb here, kind of a warning light, as well as the one up here, I think. Warning, lethal weapon in operation. I think I'll put this, you know what, no, there's something else. I'm going to go back into that red, do these gauges. I think I'll actually use the green to the back here. Dark colors generally do not work well for a lighting effect, but I'm doing this anyway. And Lemon Yellow 09009 again for the stab light. Yeah, Warhammer 40,000, they use different names for common everyday objects. See, that's not bad. Alright, let's see here. I'm going to take this, try to reabsorb some of that. And I think put a little of the yellow in there. Well, that backfired horrifically. Let's try that again. Just touch that up. Alright. Here goes my first instinct and try the orange, which did the same effect. So, alright, screw it. We're just going to pull out the spillover and stop before I screw it up again. So now I need to let all of this dry completely, and I can highlight and wrap up. Oh, and I dropped 50 frames in the blink of an eye. Well, can I get this to focus on my mini? Maybe. Well, apparently not. Joys of technical difficulties. Oh, there we go. Joys of technical difficulties strike again. Oh boy. Okay, time to highlight. So, I'm going to, I'll start with the flesh. So I'm going to use Rainy Gray 09038. That should give a rather deathly pallor to the skin. Using a ragged feathered brush, no water, straight paint, rubbing most of the excess out on a paper towel, or most of it, lightly dusting the area to the effect. I think I need a little more paint on this. Now it's working, is just not giving quite the effect I was hoping for, so I'm still going to roll with it. So working a little better on the arm than the face. Definitely doesn't look quite right. Now, I'm going to get my palette knife out. And we're going to mix up a highlight for the cloth. So I'm going to take a tiny dot of lemon yellow 09009. You can see the kind of shape my palette's in. And an equal size dot of pale green 09012. That's close enough. I'm still recording. Yeah, but I'm dropping some frames here. And an equal size dot of matte white. We got that little triad here. So this should make a very light yellow green. And using a palette knife to get a nice smooth mixture of it. It's going to work better than using your brush. And that's pretty good. Clean that off. Then get the brush I'm going to use to dry brush with. Make sure I'm on camera and it's kind of focused. There we are. And we'll lightly dust the cloth here. And this is a nice, bright, loud road construction crew yellow green here. I suppose it also looks like a hazmat suit too, but I'll use a little more straight paint right there with that red color on it. Alright, yeah, it's not too bad for irritating road construction crew green. Clean that brush out. Let's see, I'll get the armor next. So Marigold yellow 09007. It's a very light yellow orange. Hearing bad noises. I'm not dropping too many frames yet. Seems I only dropped about 7 of them while I was doing the mixing. That's good. Now here I'm focusing on the readily visible areas, so we'll get the plates that are in full view. It's got a little too much on it, so I'll just brush it a little off my finger. Okay. Next, how's about some bronze with tarnished brass 09198? There's not too much of this. So knob here, the buttons on that, the joint right there. That's about it. Let's do tarnished steel 09206 next. Oh, bad grip. Burnish the middle of the ankles. A little extra paint where the orange shade got onto the toes. Trying to make sure I'm still at least kind of on camera. I'm still kind of blurry. Alright, the blur's been my biggest problem. It's going to take a lot of work to fix. I will get it figured out eventually, because I will not give up until I get it right. Make sure I'm not dropping frames. Get the wrist and the claw here. I want the mechanic's emblem. Just about done. A little bit on the backpack, getting the grit on the whites. That wiggles a bit, but I think okay. That hones up the grab gun nice, and that's all is steel. So now, fire orange 09006, I'll get some wires highlighted. But very nearly done. I wound up using quite a bit of fire orange actually. Use anything a little smaller for this. Just focusing where they're more readily visible. Okay. Nope. Haven't missed anything, so that's it for highlights. I'm going to take some matte black, do a couple details on the back, and then line the base. Then before long I can get the basic material on and wrap this up. So, using a detail brush, get that to a nice point, and just enough water to thin the paint. Just nick the gauges here. There we go. And switching over to my favorite flathead brush. Just gonna line the base. And I'm just gonna polish it up, give it a nice even finish here. Color choice is completely arbitrary. There we go. That's it for the painting aspect. Got some basing to do, so I will let this dry completely and come back to get it finished when it does. Okay, time to do the basing. So white glue and water in a convenient container. I can get my bottle of glue open anyway. This is one of the ones I used yesterday. It's still kind of gooey, but it'll work. And when this stuff dries out, I can just take a small pair of pliers and just pop it out of there and keep it serviceable. Sacrificial brush, mix it all up. And paint around the feet and toes here. Big, steady, sturdy, stable feet for lifting heavy cargo. Alright, give it a dip in my talus. It makes it fine and coarse. And taking a spare brush that is dry, I'll brush this away from where I don't want it. Pushing down overall, there's quite a bit to do here. Just knocking it off on my finger when it's clogged up. And that's got it pretty good, so I'm going to let that set for at least 20 minutes. Then I can seal it, varnish, and move on. Okay, well that happened. Alright. Reset the lighting here. That'll have to do. Oh boy. So last step that I can do on camera Scenic Cement by Woodland Scenics. It's a sprayer brush on adhesive. Glass eyedropper. It's set for almost an hour. Actually, I got wrapped up in a few things. But you need to let it set, otherwise this will just make divots. Now it'll be sealed. And give this a rock hard finish when it dries. All that's left is to varnish. And X101 Imperial Servitor. This is the, well, quite frankly, not the last of the retinue characters, but the only one that came with the escalation set. Got a few more coming up, but next are the hostiles from Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress escalation. So, until next time, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out.